Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've got a question for the Chancellor, which is, I see that the taxpayer is now accountable to the state. The state is...
Well, that is the purpose of elections. And at the last election, this government achieved a sizable majority for our missions, including to grow the economy, to improve living standards.
And I'd like to know what the Chancellor's going to do to ensure that government is as accountable to the taxpayer as the taxpayer is to government.
A fiery exchange in the House of Commons has left politicians and voters alike on the edge of their seats. Reform MP Rupert Lowe didn't mince words when he accused Shadow Chancellor Rachel Reeves of repeating robotic tripe. But what's really at stake here? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. As the dust settles, we're diving deep into the $70 billion elephant in the room, Reeves' controversial autumn budget. With sharp rises in business taxes and growing concerns from industry leaders, could this be the economic gamble that breaks the bank for British businesses? In the heart of Westminster, two political figures with starkly different backgrounds are locked in a heated debate over the future of Britain's economy. Rupert Lowe, the Reform MP and former businessman, stands in stark contrast to Rachel Reeves, the Shadow Chancellor with a background in economics. Their clash centres on Reeves's autumn budget, a contentious plan that's sending shockwaves through the business community.
It's not accountable to the taxpayer. And I think a lot of the root causes of our growth come from the fact that many of our offices run by the state are not working, and they're actually strangling our economy.
And make working people better off. We've just got started, and that is what we are absolutely determined to do, to deliver on the mandate that we got on the 4th of July.
Lowe didn't hold back in his criticism, accusing Reeves of repeating robotic tripe, a charge that speaks to the growing frustration among those who fear the budget's impact on businesses. Reeves, for her part, staunchly defends her proposals, arguing they're necessary for the country's economic health. But with a $70 billion increase in public spending on the table, many are questioning whether the cure might be worse than the disease. The budget's sharp rises in business taxes have set off alarm bells across various sectors. Farmers are up in arms over changes to inheritance tax rules affecting agricultural land. It's not just rural Britain feeling the pinch. Urban businesses are bracing for impact too. The proposed $40 billion in tax hikes has left many company leaders wondering if they can afford to take risks on new hires or investments. Industry experts are painting a grim picture of the potential fallout. Rain Newton-Smith, Chief Executive of the Confederation of British Industry, warns that the budget measures are making it harder for businesses to take a chance on hiring. This sentiment is echoed in a recent survey showing that nearly 2/3 of companies believe the budget will harm UK investment. The concerns aren't limited to boardrooms and farms. Lord Karen Billamoria, co-founder of Cobra Beer, speaks of a unanimous voice of business, warning of the damage Reeves's economic policies could inflict. It's a chorus of worry that's growing louder by the day, with CBI Chairman Rupert Soames going so far as to accuse the government of treating businesses like a cash cow to be milked dry. As criticism mounts, Reeves remains steadfast. She insists there's no alternative to the tax rises, emphasizing the need for public sector reform rather than further hikes. But with experts drawing parallels to historical precedents where similar policies led to economic stagnation, the question remains: is Reeves's budget a necessary evil or a miscalculated gamble that could derail Britain's economic recovery? While politicians debate in Parliament, the true consequences of Reeves's budget are playing out in the real economy. From corner shops to tech startups, Businesses across the UK are recalculating their futures. But here's the twist. Some economic projections paint a surprisingly different picture. Could Reeves's plan actually fuel growth, or is it set to stifle the very engines of prosperity it aims to support? Take Sarah, a small bakery owner in Leeds. She's not just worried about rising costs, she's questioning the very future of her business. With these tax hikes, I'm not sure I can afford to keep all my staff, Sarah confides. Her story isn't unique. Across Britain, small business owners are crunching numbers, wondering if they'll have to cut jobs or raise prices just to stay afloat. But it's not all doom and gloom. Some economists argue that Reeves's plan could stimulate long-term growth by investing in infrastructure and education. They point to historical examples where short-term pain led to long-term economic gain. Yet others warn of the risks, drawing parallels to past policies that resulted in stagnation and job losses. Reeves isn't backing down. She's adamant that there's no alternative to the tax rises, emphasizing the need for public sector reform. But what does this reform actually entail? Details are scarce, leaving many to wonder if the cure might be worse than the disease. The political strategy behind Reeves's approach is clear. She's positioning herself as the most pro-business chancellor this country has ever seen. It's a bold claim, especially when business leaders like Salman Amin, CEO of McVitie's owner Plattis, are scratching their heads over the investment rationale. As the debate intensifies, opposition is growing. Business leaders are voicing concerns, and there's a sense that this could become a major election issue. Reeves has tried to calm the waters, pledging that businesses won't face another similar budget before the next election. But is this promise enough to rebuild trust? In a surprising move, Reeves doubled down on her stance. She defended the budget fiercely, insisting that the public sector must live within its means. It's a message that resonates with some voters worried about national debt, but leaves others questioning the impact on essential services. As the general election looms, the economic battlefield is set. Will Reeves's vision of a reformed public sector and increased spending win over voters, or will the concerns of business owners like Sarah tip the scales? The answer could reshape Britain's economic landscape for years to come. As the dust settles on this economic dust-up, we're left with more questions than answers. Rupert Lowe's accusation of robotic tripe may have grabbed headlines, but it's the substance of Rachel Reeves's autumn budget that's truly dividing opinion. On one side, we have a $70 billion increase in public spending and higher business taxes. On the other, fears of stifled growth and job losses. This clash isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet. It's a fundamental debate about the role of government in shaping the economy. Should we prioritize public sector investment, hoping it'll spark long-term growth? Or are we risking the very engine of prosperity, private businesses, in the process? As the CBI's annual conference approaches and the next general election looms, these questions will only grow more urgent. Will Reeves's vision of a reformed public sector win over voters, or will the concerns of business owners tip the scales? The answer could reshape Britain's economic landscape for years to come. As we watch this drama unfold, one thing's certain: the future of UK economic policy hangs in the balance.